Chapter 3. When Leo arrives at Heathrow at 1:10, he's happy. Just one more flight to go, he thinks, and then we're off to Tenerife. 2 weeks holiday with Jane is like a dream. He can't wait. He goes into the room where the stewards wait between flights. A quick lunch and a chat with some friends, and soon I'll be back at work. But one of his friends, Jack, who's working on flights to Edinburgh today, comes over to him quickly. "Hey, Neil," Jack says. "There's a very urgent message for you. Phone Jane immediately." "Why? Is something wrong?" Neil asks. He's beginning to get a little worried. "I don't know," says Jack. "There was just that message." Neil doesn't think any more about his lunch, but runs to the telephone. He calls Jane's number in Glasgow and hears it ringing. It rings and rings, but Jane doesn't answer. Neil's really worried now. Where is she? What is happening? He thinks to himself. Where can Jane be? Jane is in Jimmy's flat again. She's telling him the story, and Jimmy's listening carefully. He doesn't like to see Jane crying, and he wants to help her if he can. "So Ben and Joe know all about it?" he asks. Jane nods. "Yes." "Well," Jimmy continues, "they could go and look for Nancy at her office. And Neil knows about it too." Jane suddenly remembers the message for Neil. He will call her from London Heathrow Airport when he arrives. "What time is it, Jimmy?" she asks. "Just after 1:25, Jimmy replies. "Why?" "Because Neil's phoning me from London. I must go back," says Jane. She gets up, still crying a little. Jimmy wants to hold her and comfort her, but she's already going towards the door. He doesn't know what to do. At the door, she turns and looks at him sadly. "Thanks for listening to me, Jimmy. Maybe Neil will have an idea about what to do. He's usually very good at thinking of solutions to problems." She means to be kind, but Jimmy feels even more unhappy because Neil can think of solutions and he can't. Neil can't always do everything, he thinks, as Jane goes out. Ben and Joe are friends of Jane and Neil's. They live in London, quite near Nancy's office. They both work at home. Ben does designs for the theatre, and Joe writes books for students of English. After Jane's phone call, they are very worried. "Do you think Nancy is really dead?" Joe asks. "Maybe Jane is worried about nothing," Ben says, "but you never know." "I think it would be a good idea to call Nancy's office," says Joe. Maybe. Ben is thinking it's not a good idea. But what if that man with the horrible voice answers again? He will think that we are looking for Nancy But we are looking for Nancy, Joe interrupts. "That's the important thing." "Yes," Ben agrees. "Okay, let's go to her office and see if we can find something or someone to help us." "But I don't want to find that man with the voice," says Joe. "If Nancy is dead, what will he do to us?" "That's true," Ben replies. "Well, let's phone. We'll not say anything until we hear who answers the phone. And if it's him, we'll know he's still there." "I don't know," says Ben. "We can't just ask him. Is Nancy there? You remember his words. Nancy's dead. Don't worry about Nancy. She's dead." Neil's frantic now. 3 times and still no reply, he says. Where can she be? Then he stops and thinks for a moment. Maybe she's at Jimmy's. If something is wrong, she'll ask him for help. He looks for Jimmy's number in his Firefox notebook. As he is looking for it, Jack passes him and says, "No answer. Maybe she doesn't want to go to Tenerife with you after all." Jack does not mean to be unkind, but his words make Neil angry. "Stay out of this! You don't know what you're talking about," he shouts. "Sorry, old chap. Just my little joke," says Jack. When's your flight back to Glasgow? Isn't it better to wait until you're back there? The message was urgent. You know that. He begins to call Jimmy's number in Glasgow. Look at the time, he says to Jack. The flight leaves in 20 minutes. Yes, Jack agrees. My flight to Edinburgh leaves in 10 minutes. I can't stand around here chatting. Bye. Hope you enjoy your holiday anyway. Neil isn't thinking about his holiday. He's listening to the ringing sounds and waiting for Jimmy to answer.